Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we're going to be looking at past paper, a January 2018 past paper, paper 2. We know the 2021 exams, we're going to resume with the paper 2s, so we're getting ready early. So we're looking at the January 2018 Principles of Business, paper 2. And so we're going to look at question 1 today and see how far we reach on that one. So just question 1 alone today, and then you would come back for question 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, let's go. So a very simple question. Question 1 to me was very simple, very straightforward. The first one says, define each of the following terms, and that's 2 marks each. And so the first term you have to define is goods, and the second one is services. And so we know that the definition of a good would be a tangible product, something you can actually touch, you can actually see, you can smell, taste. So it's a tangible product that a company offers for consumption. That's a good, a tangible product, a physical product that a company offers for consumption. And of course, consumption doesn't refer only to eating. It refers to actually using it. Whereas a service, on the other hand, is intangible. You cannot touch it. So it's an intangible product that someone offers for sale. So you have examples like, financial services, you have like restaurant services, salon services. So these are things that you cannot touch. You basically experience them. You cannot resell them. You can resell a good. You can buy a good, resell it. You cannot resell a service. It happened to you. It is being done to the person. So you cannot be touched, cannot be resold, anything like that. So those are the two differences right there, and those are the definitions. The good is a tangible product, can be touched, seen, that a company produces for consumption, whereas a service is an intangible, something you cannot touch, cannot taste, cannot smell, intangible product that they produce for consumption again by its consumers. And again, consumption doesn't really mean eating only, it means to use. All right, so that was A for number 1. That was just 4 easy marks right there. Now B, outline one advantage and one disadvantage of e-commerce. And of course, we know what e-commerce is. For starters, e-commerce is a process of buying and selling goods and services online. So that's e-commerce. Now, what are some advantages and some disadvantages of e-commerce? And so we see some advantages being things such as this improves coordination. E-commerce improves coordination and efficiency in supply chains by increasing processing speed, reducing costs, and reducing errors. So we know that we can see that from the top of our heads. Those of us who conduct business online, you buy from Amazon, Walmart, whatever, we know that some advantages includes the fact that you have a wide, from a producer's perspective, you have the ability to reach a broader market for sure because it's online, a broader market. You have more efficiencies in terms of speed, reducing costs, because if you are somebody who sells certain products, you don't have to store as much of those products, many of those products as you want, because warehousing might be an issue. So you don't really have to store as much in the back. You can somebody order, you get it for them, and then you fulfill that order. So those are some advantages. Again, reduce costs because you don't really have to set up a business location per se, a large premises. You don't have to set up one like that. Look at Amazon. You don't really have to set up any brick and mortar like that. You can just do all of your stuff in a smaller area, carry out your business with just less overhead than if you were doing it with a brick and mortar face-to-face kind of way. So those are some advantages of e-commerce. There are other advantages that you can gain from e-commerce or technology on a whole in conducting business. As we said before, speed, you're faster, Another advantage is the fact that customer service can be improved in the sense that you can contact your customers directly via email, via phone, whatever. They don't have to come into the office to see you. They can get online, email you, WhatsApp you, whatever, online using the internet, faster access to you. And of course, we mentioned reduce physical storage requirements and costs. We mentioned that. And of course, improve sharing of information. As I said before, you can easily get a pro forma invoice. Somebody email it to you, scan it, send it to you, as opposed to back in the day you might have had a longer process of getting the performer invoice to you or your quotation or whatever to you. It can be done easier, quicker because of online availability. So all those are advantages you can use in order to show how e-commerce is advantageous to the customer. Then they said, what are some disadvantages now of e-commerce? What are some disadvantages? This is one. What is one disadvantage of e-commerce? An obvious one is the fact that you're online and therefore you are susceptible to hacking. Somebody might hack your account, hack the company's account, get your information that you don't want out there, so you're hacking. You're also exposed to fraud. A lot of persons are currently in a process where they are trying to acquire new game systems, PS5, Xbox Series X, and some people bought them online, and when they arrive, they got, things like bag of rice in the box or stones in the box, things like that. So you're susceptible to fraud when you do e-commerce. Also, of course, privacy is an issue. Sometimes you have to input a whole lot of private information about yourself that the company can use to target you for certain, marketing opportunities that you might not want. Sometimes you log in on a website, you go on to a next website, and because of the cookies and stuff on the website, they're going to track what you bought and things like that, and then all of a sudden you see people targeting certain products at you. So you scroll in on a website, you see a product you just saw on Amazon pop up in the corner in the ad, things like that. So privacy is an issue right there. So all those are disadvantages that you can that can be had by doing e-commerce, online business. So those are things you have to keep in mind. So there are a lot of other disadvantages. As I said, security can be a broad umbrella. And of course, for security, you have a whole lot of different types of security attacks. Phishing attacks where it would email you because they would have gotten your email and try to get you to click something, and then, they get your password and that kind of stuff. As I said before, hacking, sabotage in the system. Cookies would track your activities online because you may have clicked a like button or something like that. Things like that. So those are issues, disadvantages that can be garnered when you conduct e-commerce. So I gave you a lot. Simply choose anyone and answer the question. So that'll be 4 easy marks. Let's roll on to C now. State 2 characteristics of each of the following types of economic systems. Of course, we have the planned, the free market, and the mixed economy. And so they ask for 2 characteristics of each of the following economic systems. And so in the textbook, they have a nice little flowchart here to distinguish between some of these economic systems and also show you some of the characteristics on different levels. For example, as it relates to government involvement, when looking at the free market, there's minimal government involvement in the free market. In the mixed, some government involvement because the mix would have both private and public sector, so there's some government involvement. In the planned or the authoritarian, you have high government involvement because government controls most of the economic activities in the planned economy. So as it relates to government as a characteristic, they have different level of involvement. For free market, minimal, hardly any government involvement. For mixed, of course, you have some government involvement, and for the planned, you have high government involvement. As it relates to level of freedom of choice, do producers have the freedom to choose what goods and services to produce? Do consumers have the freedom to choose from a variety of goods and services? And so under this level, this characteristic, you see that in the planned economy, there's little or no freedom of choice. Little or no freedom of choice on any level. In the mixed economy, some freedom of choice. In the free market, you have freedom of choice as it relates to both what you consume and what can be produced. From both angles, from the producer and the consumer, your freedom of choice under the planned is little or none. For the mix, some freedom. For the free, you have freedom of choice. As it relates to ownership of resources, as in resources owned by the public sector or by the private sector, for the free market, you have a little state ownership. So most of the things are owned by the private sector under the free market. For the mix, you have a degree of both. Because remember, you have both the private and the public sector. So most mixed economies have some private, some public ownership of resources. But for the plan now, you have largely state ownership. So the state normally owns almost all of the economic resources within a planned economy. As it relates to price determination, the price under the free market is determined by supply and demand, the market forces. So supply and demand determines the price in the free market. For the mixed economy, some involvement of both state and market forces in price determination, because government can intervene and decide to have ceiling price or floor price or some level of price control in the mixed economy. Whereas the private individuals also have a level of autonomy as it relates to pricing. For the plan though, state sets most of the prices. So the government sets most of the prices in the planned economy. Now, as it relates to ownership of profits, profits from business owned by the state or by private individuals. For the planned economy, of course, the state sets most prices, so the state are the ones who owns and runs everything. In the mixed economy, both state and private individuals enjoy some ownership of profits. So even in the mixed economy, even some government have shares in certain of the private institutions. For the free market, market forces determine how profits are shared, right? So those are the characteristics of the tree. The characteristics of the tree that they ask for: the planned, the free, and the mix. And so you can take any two from the table and get your 2 marks easily for that one. So let's move on to the next question. And so the next question asks, where are we? Here we go. Explain 2 ways in which businesses can contribute to the social and economic development of a country. And so this one is a 6 marker. Let me see, a 6 marker. Yes, that's going to be the biggest amount you have to write for this question. 6 marks. So you're going to take 2 and you're going to explain. You're going to go to town on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines again with 13 lines, a number of lines. So at least 6 lines each for each point. Develop the point properly. And so what are the points? What are 2 ways in which businesses contribute to social and economic development of a country? And so one of the obvious answers for this one, of course, is employment. So businesses contribute to the economy or the country by providing jobs. That's a very easy one to understand, providing jobs. Businesses are there to help workers, to provide jobs, give them a way of earning a living, and as such, people will have money to further purchase other things in the economy. So the creation or expansion of business provides employment opportunities both within those businesses and within the suppliers. These jobs reduce unemployment, so there we go, reduce unemployment rate within the country, and provide incomes for employees that can improve their standard of living and boost their financial stability. These economic opportunities support and enhance communities through increasing the quality of life and overall standard of living. So of course, if you don't have a job, you're unemployed, then that would affect both your standard of living and your quality of life. Meaning you can't afford certain things, you can't afford your health care, your education, that kind of stuff. That would affect your quality of life, and also your standard of living would be the amount of let's say not material things, but the amount of items you can afford. You know, how much house you can afford, how much cars you can afford, how much, your living space, what you live in, clothes you can afford, those kind of things. And so of course employment will help to develop the people in the country both on a social level, as in your quality of life, and on economic level as it relates to your standard of living. So of course job creation is one of the key things that businesses allow to happen in an economy, thus reducing the unemployment level and increasing the overall standard of living and quality of life in a country. So you can break it down both social and economic if you want, but this alone, quality of life and standard of living, can show both social and economic development. Then of course you have businesses offering a wider variety of goods and services that can satisfy the citizens. So that's the next way in which businesses contribute to the social and economic development of a country. They provide a wider range of opportunities, goods, services that would satisfy the population of that country. Entrepreneurs strive to develop and produce goods and services that consumers need or want and are willing and able to pay for. Through observation and market research, you will need to find out what consumers want and aim to satisfy the requirements. Competition between the businesses now will help businesses to be more creative in satisfying customer needs. This will also impact the production processes and turnaround time. The products and services provided by businesses can benefit consumers in different ways. For example, improve their living standard, solve problems, or simplifying their lifestyle. Of course, those are ways in which the businesses can help develop the country socially and economically, just because of the goods and services they provide. They can enhance the quality of life of persons. Could you imagine we not having certain types of phones, certain types of technology today because it was never created? So that think along that line, and you can understand how we can impact the standard of living and the quality of life for individuals, make things easier. Of course, businesses also have to pay their taxes, and so if they have to pay their taxes, that is part of the government's main way of getting money, revenue, taxes. And so those taxes would go towards a lot of things, helping to build the nation, contribute to nation building, because those taxes help to pay for roads, hospitals, schools, provide welfare, school meals, that kind of stuff to the less fortunate. So that can help to bring persons out of poverty with all of these things that are supplied by the government through taxation. So that's another way in which businesses can help as it relates to social and economic development in a country. It can reduce the crime rate, as I say here, reduce the poverty rate, those kind of things. So it can help with the building the nation itself in many ways. Apart from taxation, they keep people employed so that they reduce crime and reduce poverty and those kind of things. So your human development index might increase because you have businesses creating certain opportunities for persons. All right. Also, of course, when you have businesses, they can also impact on an international level. Meaning that a company might come in from overseas and they create that link, that diplomatic link between your countries, and so countries can benefit from each other because of these links. So that's another way in which businesses, they can bridge the gap between certain countries, certain governments, on a diplomatic level, just because they are there to conduct business, and so they would operate in a certain way. All right, so those are some of the main ways in which businesses can, help the country to develop both on a social level and an economic level. Social and economic development in the country. So I gave you about 4. So you can choose any 2 and just go to town with them. Nice, healthy, mini paragraphs, and that should cover the 6 marks easily, right? So that's basically it for question 1. So we're going to study it for now. And so for question 2, you know what to do. You have to come back. And so if you have to come back to know when the video drop, please like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when question 2 drops. And so I might double up on questions next time, or I might go back one question, but we don't know. In order to find out, tune in next time. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.